Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today, I'm going to do a video about characters that we should see in the new Batman movie. Should and shouldn't see. You know, because there's a lot of videos out there where people are guessing who's playing Batman, what the plot's going to be, and all that. That's all speculation, and that's fine. Let everyone do that. Now, me, excuse me. I've been, I enjoy Batman. I love watching the movies. I've got all of them in 4K. And while watching these videos, I was thinking, and hearing some of these people saying, "Oh, this," making speculation. I was like, okay, who is going to be the bad guy? And it got me to thinking the bad guys in all the different movies. You have the Burton movies, and then the other two. I don't think you could put 3 and 4 in with the Burtons because they weren't. Okay, the Burton and the Schumachers, and then you have the Nolan, and then you have the Snyderverse. There wasn't really technically a solo Batman movie in the Snyderverse, but, And I was like, okay, I started going over my head all the, people that, it's like, oh, we don't need this person, if we're going to have something new. And one of the things I realized is that with James Gunn and the way he does stuff, this is going to be a more fantastical type of Batman. In the sense that it's not going to be like Nolan, where everything was grounded and, say, you have the Joker. That's a little different. But Bane. You don't have Bane where he's in the weird costume and all the drugs and all that stuff. Okay, and then you also have the Pattinson one where you have that's also a kind of a gritty, realistic thing. But so this is going to be the more spectacular stuff. So you can actually have true comic versions of the bad guy, or as close as they can do or willing to do in the movies. So I was like, all right, who would I like to see, and who do I not want to see in the movies? I'm going to do who I don't think should be in it, especially the first couple, then kind of a maybe, and then who I'd really like to see. Now, first, I'm going to leave out Ra's al Ghul and Talia. For this reason. This Batman is going to be the one with, based on the Morrison, from what I've heard, based on the Morrison run, and Damian is going to be the Robin. Okay? Damian's mother, Talia al Ghul, his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. So, they either are going to be mentioned or in the movie due to Damian being in it. So, whether I would like them in there or not, there is a good possibility that there's one either going to be mentioned or two in it. So, I'm not going to put them in any of the list. Okay, so first off, we will do people that I don't think should be, or uh, we don't need, at least especially in the first one, possibly two, and that would be obviously the Joker. They've done him to death. You know, first movie, you know, Batman, 1989, Joker. Then we have The Dark Knight, Joker. We have the Joker in the Snyderverse, even though it wasn't a, you know, I guess they met up once in one of the movies with Batman showing up on it. And then they have Joker in the deleted scenes in the Pattinson thing. Enough already, you know. That was just like in the Superman movies. He was in 3 of the 4 movies, and they wanted him to have in the third, in number 3, but Gene Hackman went because he was having a thing with the directors, and he didn't do number 3 just because he was pissed off that he wanted to do it 4. But so I mean, it's too much. Okay, and then there's also Two-Face. He's been in this twice. They had that horrible Schumacher Two-Face. And then they actually had the fantastic Two-Face in the Nolan movies. We don't need him. Or at least, I get, you know, maybe not as Two-Face. You can have, you know, Harvey Dent in maybe one or two of the movies, help set it up, and maybe even not have him carry into Two-Face. But Two-Face, no. Okay. And also, we have one we don't need, and this could be on either list of the maybe or the not, and I'm leaning towards not unless it meets one specific condition, and that would be the Riddler. Okay. Now, the reason I say that is we've had 2 versions of the Riddler, which is the same thing we'd had for Clayface. I mean, not Clayface, I'm sorry. Two-Face. Now, we had that horrible Jim Carrey version of the Riddler, who looked accurate, because that was, you know, in the more fantastical area, you know, version of the look. So he looked correct, but he didn't, you know, have, you know, he wasn't anything like, you know. But then you have the gimp suit mass murderer Riddler from the Pattinverse, which really wasn't, you know, the suit is just awful. And, you know, while the riddles were accurate, I don't recall Riddler being a mass murderer. Sort of like that. So that if they're going to do that, if you make him correct and true to the comic, we'll throw him in the maybe. Okay, so now since that one straddled the fence, let's go into the maybe. All right. Now maybe this can be people that have already been used, that just weren't done right, and or, you know, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, the first person, you know, I would say we could do with the Riddler, but we already talked about that. The first person that comes to mind right now for this would be Mr. Freeze. Yes, we have had Mr. Freeze in the Batman We Shall Not Name. That spectacular version of that movie that we just won't talk about. Suit really didn't look all that good. The only thing they had was his powers that were fairly accurate. That was good. And somewhat of his history. But everything else was horrible. Even the actor portraying it. You know, he wasn't a punch. He's not a punster. He's not monstrous. He is more like the Scarecrow. Really thin. He's really smart. He's thin. He's not this big 6'3" bodybuilder with an accent and all that stuff. So that was bad. So if you're going, you can use Mr. Freeze, but they need to come back to the comic origins. Make him more accurate and not have him like a joke like they did in the movie. Okay? Now, so the next person I want is Mr. Zsasz. And yes, he was in the Nolanverse. He appeared twice. He was in Begins and Rises. In the first part, he was actually in court getting sentenced, and then he got released in was it? I think it was the second one. I'm sorry, where they got released from Arkham and he was out there. Or was it third? Anyway, he was in two. Now, he never really got used, which is a great. He's a great character that can be used to help show Batman's detective side. Because that's one thing that's been lacking in a lot of the movies, other than the Pattinson one. His detective skills. He's the world's greatest detective. Now, Mr. Zsasz, he has the menace in there. He's smart, and so you can show Batman's detective skills where he has to help. He has to figure out who he's going to strike, what he's doing, and he'd be the perfect character. They can even have him be a kind of maybe a secondary character or work with somebody else that he's looking for something else or doing something else, and he also has to do Mr. Zsasz. That I think would be a great character, or just have him be a main antagonist. Okay, and then we have Penguin. Now, yes, he is he's been used twice. And like I said, he's a maybe. The first one, I don't know what the hell Burton was thinking with that. It's kind of got the look. Now you have the Pattinson one where he's got the gangster part down, but if you can combine him in there and get it right where he looks correct and he's a gangster, you can even have him a secondary character where Batman goes there to get information. I guess sort of like what he did in the Pattinson universe. So, but since it's been done, maybe not. Okay. Now, Harley. Harley, knowing Gunn, he will probably put her in there. So I'm just guessing that they're probably more than likely going to put her in there. Hopefully, if they do, it'll be. She'll be in there if they win and if they use the Joker, which they probably will. They should keep her with the Joker. and have her, maybe in the original outfit, and move her on from there. Just ignore all the other crap that's been done in the movies. Okay, now let's move on to who I think they need to use, and these are some people that would be fantastic to have in the movies, especially since they can do the more fantastic type of universe. Which they probably wouldn't be able to use before, especially in the Nolan universe. Hugo Strange. He could have been used in the Nolan universe, but I think people would have thought he was a little confusing. But again, like I said, with Mr. Zsasz or something like that, they could use him as a secondary character to help show, to help define Batman a little better. Say, okay, what is here's what Batman would be like if he wasn't Batman, and as opposed to, but doesn't go so far as the Joker, because like the Joker is supposed to be the complete 180 of Batman. Hugo Strange would be like 90, but why not? Now, so the other people I think they could have would be Mr. Pig. Mr. Pig would be an awesome character to have. Just, there's high stakes in there. You have, like, Mr. Zsasz. The next couple of people, Zsasz and the next couple of people are going to be dealing with kids, or not all, Mr. Pig is all kids. But, and people, he would be, there's the more fantastic element to it, and also it would help with Batman's detective skills, show his detective skills. And he is an interesting character. He'd be fun. Also, another really weird person that sometimes gets kids, sometimes gets adults, would be the Mad Hatter. Now, who wouldn't want to see the Mad Hatter as a bad guy? You could have some interesting storytelling with that, and that'd just be awesome. Again, you could probably introduce him in one and have it carry over into another, or just have it all in one. And have some of these people before you get the Joker in, if you're going to have him in at all. Now, a lot of times what they do is they have someone smaller in there, like some lower people, and then move into the big bad guys. And the next two, I think, could be in some of the more serious threats for Batman. And that would be Killer Croc. Like, take the Nolan one where there's three, and then they went, different elements of Batman's person going up against them, one psychological, one physical, one, Killer Croc, again, showing his detective stuff, but that would be the more physical type thing where he has to go to, and, just, that would be a battle and a half. That'd be fun. And show some real danger in Batman having to try and fight him. And then, lastly, and I'm sure there's a couple other people, I just, want to keep this a kind of a short video, maybe. Man-Bat. That would, and also, that would be something that could also carry over into some of the other movies with, like the Creature Commandos, because they've already have established that they have people, they already have that type of supernatural element in there, so Man-Bat would be great, and they could carry him over into other movies. Which reminds me, so one more other person which I've written down, but I didn't see right up. Speaking of the supernatural element, and they already going to have a movie, so this would have been probably in the maybe not Clayface, because as you know, they are doing a Clayface movie. It's going to be R-rated. It's going to be a kind of a body horror type thing. And they could also bring him, since they already have him in it, doing a movie of his own, they can bring him into a Batman movie, because he is a Batman villain. And he can use that. And since they are using him in some of the movies, Man-Bat is someone that they could use, since that type of character is already set up. So you could have Clayface and the Man-Bat, as Batman villains. Okay, so those are just some quick thoughts of mine on who they shouldn't use or use right away for characters, and who I'd like to see up on the silver screen, big screen, for the first time. And maybe, honorable mention to like Deathstroke and stuff like that. But what do you think? Let me know if you like my choices. Let me know in the comments below who you would like to see. And let's get a conversation going. Like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, let's hope they have some good Batman movies.